Alright, hi, my name's Jason. I'm a professional photographer working at Stuart Nummo Photography here in Greymouth, New Zealand, and today I'm going to have a bit of a talk to you about file types and choosing an appropriate file type for a situation, particularly with regard to your photographs, your digital photos, and using them in different circumstances. So just quickly, first I'm going to talk about two different kinds of files, and those are raster and vector. I'll refer to both of them. Raster is what we're concerned with today, and vector I'll just mention briefly, just so you know the difference between them. Raster files are image files that are made up of lots of little dots, and they describe the information about the colour and brightness or darkness of each dot or pixel. Vector files are a bit different. They describe points and equations for the curves that go past those points and lines and things, and so they're really good for simple graphics like logos and illustrations, and they're also very scalable. But we're going to skimp over those today, focus on raster graphics. So raster file types are that are very common. You'll most likely know about JPEGs, JPG or JPEG. JPEG is the file type that comes out of most of your digital cameras, scanners, sometimes others, but mostly JPEGs, and they're really popular for a couple of reasons. Mostly they are very good. It's a very clever file type that's been devised for compressing images. So it takes a look at all of the data in the image, finds out the stuff it can throw away while still representing the image in a way that's recognisable and looks reasonably good quality depending on how far you go with compression. And you can scale that compression to different applications. So it's really useful file type for getting smaller files out. So it's good for web and good for portable files. Another file type we'll talk about is GIF. GIF is a really popular web format. It's pretty much a web-only format. If you've got a GIF for a print application, it's probably the wrong file. You want to try and find a different one. GIF tries to keep file sizes down in a different way by limiting the number of colours available in a certain file. So when you save the file, you define how many colours you want it to be made up of, whereas JPEG can include the whole colour spectrum, but it's a bit more takes more account of the particular image that it has, and it does some smart algorithms. GIF, you decide how many colours you want it to use to represent that image. So it's really good for images with large blocks of a single colour. So for the web, it's great for simple diagrammatic images and things with big blocks of single colour, not gradations and things, because they break down. A third format we're going to talk about is TIFF. That sometimes is written like that, sometimes it's got an extra F. It's the same format. TIFF is a high quality, typically regarded as a high quality format. It usually doesn't compress images at all. It does have what's called LZW compression associated with it as an optional kind of addition to the format. So when you say something is a TIFF, sometimes you'll get the option to save it with LZW compression. That's a lossless, or what's called a lossless compression, which means it doesn't lose any quality data. It just it really minimally strips out extraneous information to reduce the file size, but it doesn't compress it nearly as much as JPEG compression does. So this is your most popular one that you'll come across. GIF is really good for very specific situations, and TIFF is good when you want high quality output, but you need to be aware of the big file size. Another one that is worth mentioning that you may come across is EPS. It's a PostScript format, and that's generally a vector format. So we won't talk too much about it here, but it's worth noting that when you come across it, it's best suited as a vector format rather than a raster format. So it's good for the print logos and things like that. And one other worth mentioning here is PDF, because it's getting very popular now, and that's a format that's developed by Adobe Systems. and they're a big software company that you may well have heard of. And PDF is a great document format because it can contain vector and raster information, and it's very, very versatile for things like newsletters or documents, web documents that you want everyone to be able to read, because they have a free program called Adobe Reader, which means that anyone can install it and read a PDF document. So it's very popular, but it's kind of a bit of a container format that includes maybe JPEG files or PostScript information. So it can include both vector and raster information. So it can be a bit confusing sometimes, PDF. Now, coming back to our main file types that we're talking about for your images, JPEG being the primary one, as we said, it's most appropriate to make your selection, if you're going to choose what file type to save, is to think about the end use of your image. And what's in it. So you're going to be thinking, I want a small file size, reasonable quality, and it's a complex photo, JPEG, and then you choose your compression level based on whether you want it for the web, or you want it for maybe getting a print down at your local lab. So you can compress it less, which is a bigger number, up to 12, and if you compress it more, you go for a smaller quality number down, sort of 3 or 4, or even it goes right down to 1. And then that gets you a smaller file size for web use. GIF is a web-only format, so you're only using GIF if you are going to be putting an image on the web, and it's particularly useful for images with, as I said, large blocks of a single colour. So that's how it works, by limiting the colour palette. Not very good for photographs, because the subtle shades and colour and lightness on, for example, a person get lost and break down and get funny jaggy edges. TIFF is a really high quality format, not suitable for the web, not very good for emailing, because it ends up with big files, but because of that it retains great quality, all the information about the image, and LZW is a kind of compression that you can apply to TIFFs, but it's not a particularly effective type of compression. In another video we'll talk in depth about how JPEG compression works and what it involves and how to get the hang of getting an image compressed for the web. Alright.